Steve was a professional athlete who made an appointment to see me at my clinical office. So I walk out into the waiting room to meet Steve. I'd never seen him before, and he is like the personification of a real man, right? I mean, the dude was enormous, like 6'5". His hand like enveloped my hand. It felt like a baby hand when I shook his hand. And I thought to myself, when I took him back to the office, wow, Steve is the kind of guy that almost everybody I know would say, this guy has got it all. He had the cars and the houses and the beautiful wife and the awesome kids and the professional sort of athlete responsibilities and privileges that come along with being who he was. By all accounts, Steve was the man, and everybody thought so. But I'll never forget the moment in my clinical office, several sessions into our counseling, where Steve had his hands in his face, just crying like a little baby. And he kept repeating these words. I'll never forget them. He said, "Dr. Mike, I'm a failure. I'm a failure as a man. I'm a failure as a man." The guy who had it all felt like a failure as a man. And as a matter of fact, as time went on, I recognized Steve didn't even have the skill set inside of his heart and his mind to know how to be a God-honoring man. Now, here's the good news. God has a very clear and powerful understanding of manhood, and he knows what it means to be a man. The Apostle Paul talks about it very clearly in Ephesians chapter 5. I'm not going to read the entire chapter to you, but I'm going to highlight two parts of that chapter that are incredibly important. The Apostle Paul says that our job as husbands is to be the head of our wife, just as Christ is the head of the church. And then later on, he says, men, husbands, you need to love your wife just like Christ loved the church, so much so that you lay yourself down for her. So our job, based on the Apostle Paul's words, is number one, to be a leader, to be a head, and then number two, to be a lover, to love our wives. Let's unpack that a little bit. What do you do if you want to be a head to your wife? Well, that word head that the Apostle Paul uses is actually similar to words in the scripture that used to describe the head of a river or the headwaters of a great river. I think of the headwaters of the Everglades. It's Shingle Creek. I rode across the street the other day. It said, you're now passing the headwaters of the Florida Everglades. And it was literally like 15 feet wide. And I thought to myself, man, Shingle Creek feeds everything that happens in the Everglades, that incredible ecosystem. Everything that grows and is nourished is sustained by the water, the sustenance of the headwaters of Shingle Creek. That means that our job as a head is to be the source of everything that grows in the life of your wife, in the life of your kids and your family. You're supposed to be a catalyst for their growth and their development. The second thing you need to do if you want to be a real man is you've got to love radically. So much so that you lay yourself down for your wife. That's what the Apostle Paul says. He says, love her the way Christ loved the church, so much so that you'd lay yourself down for her. So what that means is, it's not about you. It's not about your thoughts, your needs, your wants, your desires. You can't make this relationship about you getting what you want from your wife. This relationship has to be about you loving your wife so intensely that you're willing to surrender everything to see her grow. That is what we need to strive to do, because that is what it looks like to be a real man.